Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, where we review stories that beautiful people like yourselves post on the internet. So, we got today's main story, in which a woman narrates her complex relationship with her younger sister, who has a history of making poor choices and expecting her family to bail her out. The story takes a mysterious turn when small items go missing from her house whenever the sister visits, leading the woman to install a home security system to deter potential theft. The title goes like this: Jealous sister stole almost everything from my house slowly, and parents refused to believe even after I showed them the proof. So I took the same proof to the cops, and now they're mad and want me to settle it personally with her. I, female 28, have always had to cover for my problem child sister J, female 24. Whether it be in school, college, or as an adult, she always used to do stupid things for no good reason and expected me or our parents to bail her out. When we inevitably did, she didn't show us an ounce of gratitude or even change her behavior. DUI, fights, you name it. This was all something I witnessed from the outside, as I was too old to be in the house when things started getting really bad, around the time Jay was 17. In fact, I was living abroad when the worst happened. Jay OD'd and was barely resuscitated from near death. This took a huge toll on everyone, and we checked her into rehab as soon as we could. I took a sabbatical from work and moved back to our home state after this. Everything was super tense, and when Jay came back to us, we were all relieved to see that she was clean. However, she still made a lot of poor decisions in life and used to disappear for months on end without us knowing where she was. She couldn't ever hold down a job either. It's been like this for years now, and Jay often comes either to mine or my parents' house to crash before her next random outing. However, her behavior is not that of a drug addict, and she's just living a kind of crazy, unsustainable life. Despite all this, I do love my sister, and me and my parents see the fact that she's clean now as a testament to the fact that she can improve, even if the pace is slow. However, I have noticed over the years that something weird happens whenever Jay is over. Okay, I moved into a house with my husband M, male 27, at the age of 26, and Jay visited us quite often. Every time she stayed over for a few days though, a tiny trinket or small item would go missing. Silverware, stuff from my makeup drawer, things like that. It was so minuscule that I often only noticed weeks after she had left. The first few times I noticed this, I never even made the connection between Jay and the missing items, as she had gone way before I even noticed. Despite all her vices, stealing wasn't one of them. However, this had happened about 5 or 6 times over, and I was finally getting suspicious. I wasn't going to confront Jay about it directly, since her temper was a part of her problem. I also knew that she was likely to bring up her struggles of the past, and how she considered my home a safe space if I said anything. However, I did speak to M about it, and he suggested installing a home security system. Up until now, the things Jay had allegedly stolen weren't anything of high value, and installing the security system would be a way of deterring her from trying any stupid stuff. I was willing to let the past slide if this security system made sure that she stopped doing this. My plan worked because every time Jay visited the months after the security system was installed, nothing was stolen. Everything seemed fine. And she even asked about how we had installed the security system and how it worked out of complete curiosity. Surely someone who was planning on stealing stuff wouldn't be asking blatant questions about the security system, right? Jay left our house again for a job opportunity somewhere in Vegas, and Em and I metaphorically sighed with relief and settled down to clean up our house after she left. Jay isn't a good house guest, to put it mildly. When I went to clean up her guest room, I saw that she had shifted her bed slightly to the right to keep it under the window. Honestly, I was bemused, but I simply chalked it up to being one of her eccentric habits. Things seemed normal for a few days, and then Em and I decided to go for an impromptu weekend getaway. He had won some vouchers for our cruise in Mexico, and both of us were excited to take some time off and explore a new country. I told my parents about it and asked if they would be able to come over later with their set of spare keys to water our plants once. They agreed, and my sister silently read the messages on the family group chat. About 5 days into our cruise, on the day my parents went to our house, we got a frantic phone call from them stating that our house had been ransacked, like completely stripped. How this happened without anyone raising alarm bells is beyond me, but the police report later explained the whole break-in. Someone had come in through the window of the guest room, falling onto the bed and ensuring that no noise was made that would alert the neighbors. After that, this robber somehow managed to open the door from the inside, and a bunch of people came in and looted the house. They even managed to unlock doors to every room, from M's gaming room to my office. The mystery is that this guy knew all the areas of the house where there was limited camera coverage, and slinked around here before smashing in the lenses of the cameras. It felt like we would never be able to find out the identity of the robbers, and this would remain a mystery. However, the bed thing just seemed weird to me, and I wanted to go over the footage from the past months to see what had been happening. Something in my gut told me to check the footage from the time Jay was here, and that showed some weird behavior. During the times Em and I were at work, Jay used to pace around and talk frantically on a call with someone, often pointing to the cameras in expressive moments, or even walking around with a notepad near a bunch of items that had been stolen. This wasn't exactly damning evidence, but it was enough to make me suspicious, and when I looked at the footage from the guest bedroom, I was 100% sure she had something to do with this. Jay moved the bed, put herself out of the window, and attempted to clamber and roll in. She did this a few times to make sure there was no noise, and then was satisfied. Then, she left something taped to the underside of the pillow on the outer portion, a set of keys. She must have left them there for her accomplice, so he could come in and open the door for others from the inside, after disabling the cameras alone. I showed this to Em, and it seemed weird to him too. And we showed this to our parents as well. If our suspicions were correct, there's no way she would speak to us, but our parents might be able to contact her. However, Mom and Dad both immediately said I was grasping at straws and this was just a weird coincidence. Like, who climbs in and out of a window as a coincidence? And the keys? My parents said she was probably planning on crashing at our place when we weren't home, and kept that there as an emergency. I was astounded that they were so naive and told them that I was going to get to the bottom of this. With no other choice, Em decided to go to the police with this evidence, and they also found it odd enough to at least bring Jay in for questioning. An APB was put out and she was found on the way to Las Vegas, in an RV with a significant amount of our stolen stuff. Now, due to her prior record, Jay is looking at several years of jail time, and my parents are livid. They're worried this will lead to a slip back in her drug addiction and are urging me to drop charges and settle this with her. I know prison is a terrible environment, but I think we're giving Jay too much leeway if she thinks she can do something like this and get away with it. Would I be the a-hole if I press charges? The hearing is underway, and a lot of new things have come to light. Apparently, Jay was pressured into doing this by a bunch of people who are associated with a gang, as they saw our trust as a road to an easy score. However, at the end of the day, she still did this by choice, and her life was never in danger. My parents see this pressure scenario to completely acquit Jay of any wrongdoing, but all it screams to me is that she's hanging out with the wrong people. I will probably still press charges, even if it turns my parents against me. I do feel sorry for the kind of life my sister ended up living, but I draw the line when she's willing to sell out her own family to make a quick buck. I want my parents to understand that it's not always in Jay's best interest to be too accommodating to her, but they're just not willing to see it. The case is closed, and Jay got a reduced sentence by ratting out the other people involved in the crime. She'll be out in a year, tops. My parents, due to my choice of going ahead with the charges, have decided to cut contact with me, as I gave up on Jay. My father even said that I was doing something akin to ruining my sister's life, as if she hadn't already done that by herself. This prison sentence is either going to sober her up or make her realize that I won't let her get away with whatever she wants. Either way, it's a win-win, so I'm not going to back down or apologize for what I did, because it cost me and Em so much financial and emotional damage. Some stuff that was stolen wasn't recovered, and insurance can't cover the things which had sentimental value, can it? The family is divided on this whole issue, as there's always been a lot of sympathy for Jay, but a lot of people also think that she went way beyond the line with this one. Honestly, a lot of people are just treating it like gossip, and if my parents were a little more self-aware, they would see that it's hurting their standing in the family. However, I am not concerned with any of this now. The damage is done. I can only hope that a year in prison sobers Jay up. Not that I'll be picking her up when her sentence ends. Far from it. Em and I think that my parents and Jay are a needlessly toxic setup, and even though I would always hope that my sister becomes her best self and untrustworthy to keep in touch with. Not the a-hole. Your parents are pushovers. Not the a-hole, and this reads like a Sherlock novel. The bad things made no sense until the eureka moment, and to be honest, I get if you live in a tightly packed neighborhood. A loud thud would probably wake someone up. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to be an a-hole to the like button by asking them to use their bathroom, but intentionally missing the target each time. Okay, let's jump into the next story. My fiancé Ashton had a rough childhood. The oldest of 5, with 4 special needs siblings, all on the spectrum. Parents who struggled and did not ever make him feel like he was as important as his siblings. It wasn't until he was 11 and someone got his maternal grandfather involved that he had someone who cared. The way Ash talks about it, his parents tried to meet his very basic needs, but never prioritized him or sacrificed for him the way they did for others. Examples: his 10th birthday was the first one he was supposed to get a birthday party for. 3 of his 4 siblings fell ill the day before. The non-ill sibling did not like to go outside the house, and neither mom nor dad wanted to deal with 3 sick kids and 1 SN kid. So they canceled the party, and they never made up for it. His best friend's parents offered to take him for the day so he could have fun, and they turned them down. For dinner that night, he got a bland meal suitable for people who were sick. No cake, no anything nice for him. It was never made up for either, and they got mad at him for holding it against them. They wouldn't let him make a sandwich and told him he was being a brat. He really wanted to move into the basement so he could have his own room, since he shared with his brothers and could not have too much stuff in case it set them off. The basement could be a bedroom and was safe, but his parents said no. They told him it wasn't fair to isolate him and that his brothers would miss him. So he spent 18 years in a room that had no personality, where he was woken up every night by his brothers who didn't sleep well and was scolded for trying to move into the basement anyway. His parents had the rule that one dinner was made, with elements that each kid would eat. Another could be made if more than one kid wanted something different. One parent would often make the sacrifice of just doing one dinner so one of the siblings could have what they wanted. But they never did the same for him so he could have his favorite dinner. He noticed every time his parents did it. When his grandpa stepped in, a lot of arguments went down. Ash said his grandpa saved him, that he was so angry and felt so lost. His parents never changed. They said he was selfish to ask them to sacrifice for him sometimes, like they did all the time for his siblings. He's had nothing to do with them in years. I never actually met them. His paternal family, grandparents, and 3 uncles I have met. The grandparents came to me about how his parents should be invited to the wedding and how I should make the effort to let them celebrate their son and share in his joy. They had already been told no by Ash. I had also told them no, but they persisted, so I told them I would not give them, Ash's parents, the chance to play doting parents when they have never been. They told me I only have Ash's side. I said I also have his grandpa, who witnessed a lot. They then said I was being spiteful and mean. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Neither is your fiancé. If he doesn't want them there, they shouldn't be there. You're paying for the wedding, and the day is about you two, not his parents. It's unfortunate but understandable that he doesn't want them around. If photos, videos, and memories of that day will be tainted by their presence, they shouldn't be there. Not the a-hole. You're exactly right about them wanting to play the part of proud, devoted parents and grab some attention. And gosh, but that makes me furious on Ash's behalf. You're doing the right thing, stick to your guns, and don't invite people who don't deserve to share in Ash's special day. Alright guys, we have one more story for today. Let's jump right into it. This one is causing me some serious problems right now, and in addition to judgment on whether or not I was wrong to do what I did. Any advice on how to move forward from here would be appreciated. I am at a loss. Okay, so, I'm female 24. Boyfriend, male 23, of almost 7 years lives with his mom and stepdad. And we spend a lot of time there because while I'm living at / house sitting my grandma's house in town, he doesn't like spending time there. His mom lets me cook there pretty much whenever I want, provided that I clean up whatever mess I make, which I do. About a week ago, I made a batch of white chicken chili for my boyfriend and me and his cousin's wife, and there was plenty left over that I put in the fridge. 3 days later, I was over again around lunchtime and was peckish, so I decided to go heat up some of the chilies, but when I got to the fridge, it was gone. I asked the stepdad if he knew where it was, and he said they had thrown it out because it had been there a while and wasn't good anymore. I said there was no way it had gone bad already because I've made that recipe and kept it in the fridge for much longer just fine. I texted my boyfriend and asked why my leftovers kept getting thrown away, not the first time something was gone within a few days. And he ended up talking to his mom about it, and she said that she probably shouldn't have thrown it out yet, but they usually just throw away anything that's been in the fridge for more than a day or two. He asked her to apologize since I was upset about the wasted money. I'm a first-year teacher paying off college loans. And so she came to me and said basically, "Hey, sorry you're upset I threw your stuff out, but we usually throw things away after 2 or 3 days. To which I responded that I wish I'd known there was a time limit, because then I would have moved the leftovers elsewhere. She said something along the lines of, "Well, it's nothing to be mad about," and left. But I guess she said something to my boyfriend about me still being mad, because he came down and yelled at me for being disrespectful to his mom, and I shouldn't have said anything back, except thanks, because it's her house. I felt I wasn't disrespectful because I didn't have a tone. I just calmly and matter-of-factly said I wish she'd told me that beforehand, so that I could have made a different decision to not be in this situation at all. Nonetheless, he's adamant that I was wildly disrespectful and should apologize to his mom for my backtalk. So, am I the a-hole here? Edit. Formatting for readability on mobile. ETA. Some missing context that will hopefully help clear some things up. 1. I have been actively encouraged by boyfriend and boyfriend's mom in the past. Yes, even the recent past, to cook there and treat the kitchen / house as my house as well. Again, as long as I clean up after. When I cook, I buy my own ingredients, with the exception of things like flour, sugar, milk, eggs, spices that are already on hand, so forth. Because it's ridiculous to have a separate pantry for me in their house. However, I've also bought those things and more foodstuffs for their house before to repay using her stuff. For example, boyfriend and I have been asked to run to town on occasion to get the ingredients for a meal she's making, and I pay for most or all of it myself to pay back what I've used. 2. I do not have quote-unquote my own kitchen, nor do I have the ability to get my own place now or in the near future. I live with my grandma in town and pay a modest amount of rent to her. And then, after Christmas, she leaves for Florida until the spring, and I watch the house. I first moved in when I graduated college last December to help watch the house while she was gone. My boyfriend doesn't like to be at my grandma's house much, even when she's not there, because it's not his house. And so, he has to take care of someone else's things, and he can't just go out to the garage and work on his truck whenever he likes. So, we don't end up spending much time at grandma's house. Yes, I've talked to him about this. No, it hasn't really gotten anywhere. The reality is that the stuff I have to work on, papers, notebooks, a laptop, and so forth, is generally more portable than his stuff. Trucks, heavy equipment, tools, and so forth. So, if we both have things to get done, but we want to also spend time together, it makes more sense to be there. The dinner part had been frustrating me though, because it'd been feeling like I was taking over the kitchen a lot lately and wanted to go to grandma's, but boyfriend assured me that it was fine and his mom didn't mind. 3. As far as taking things with me when I left, over the next couple of days after the chili was made, we were in and out a lot, but rarely left his house to go to my house. It was usually to go to his cousin's house or some holiday party with his friends/family, or at one point, my own birthday party at my parents' house. When we were leaving to go elsewhere, it didn't really make sense to try to grab the leftovers, because then I would just be carting it from someone else's kitchen to a different someone else's kitchen. And on top of that, it's not like moving the chili was at the forefront of my mind, which leads me to 4. It wasn't a huge container like a full crock pot or anything. It was a medium to large sized, stackable Tupperware container, and I made sure I stacked it underneath the other stuff they had in the fridge, so it didn't get in their way of using the fridge. And yes, despite having been around for almost 7 years and using the kitchen relatively often during that time, I did not know about the hard and fast 2 to 3 days rule. Usually we didn't have leftovers when I cooked at his house because everyone was eating with us. It's only fairly recently that there had been a couple of instances of ending up with leftovers. Once, I accidentally put too much cayenne pepper in the sauce I was making, and so that got thrown away right after dinner because no one wanted to keep eating the too spicy sauce. Another time, I had a serving of pasta left that I went to find a few days later, but was told it went bad, which I thought was odd at the time, but I let it go. But that was the catalyst for the "why are all my leftovers getting thrown away" comment, because that was a week or so before the chili incident. The only other leftovers were the occasional takeaway boxes from eating out that I was under the impression boyfriend dealt with if we/he didn't eat it in time. You're the a-hole, and this is literally about 3-day-old leftovers. Not the a-hole, and to be honest, I would be reconsidering your relationship with your boyfriend, mostly over the fact that you always have to go to his mother's house to be together. That alone is giving me mommy's boy vibes. Yes, he demanded his mother apologize to you, but if, like some other comments have said, he may not have passed on the vital information on how long things actually last in his mother's fridge, and then got told off by his mother for not telling you in the first place, which he, in turn, turns around and lays into you. He probably didn't deem it important information for you to know. You're the a-hole. It's their home and their fridge. You cook there. You do not live there. There shouldn't be any expectation that any leftovers will still be there. If you wanted to ensure that you had some, you should have taken a portion home. And you handled this all poorly. Once you learned that they throw things out so quickly, you should have chalked this to a learning experience and invested in some containers to have on hand to make sure you could take things home. Alright guys, that's it for today's stories. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Remember to smash that like button and also subscribe to our channel. If you have a story of your own and you would like to share it, go ahead and shoot us an email. Email for that is down in the description. Okay, we'll be seeing you in the next one.